Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann Hess, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence. Hello, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me. And Estelle, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do? This is going to be a treat.
Okay, yeah, literal treat. So I'm Estelle Tracy, and I am based in Kennett Square outside of Philadelphia, about an hour away. And what I do is I host chocolate tastings. So, number one, no, I didn't know this could be a job either. And number two, yes, it is my full-time job. And when people hear that, I'll tell you they are puzzled because part of them I think goes, okay, so I've been eating chocolate wrong my whole life. There is definitely that component. Um, but throughout this conversation, we'll get to what is special about the chocolate and the type of chocolate I work with. I specialize in wine and chocolate pairings. This was, kind of, that was not my intention, but I kind of fell into that niche. And yeah, so I host chocolate tastings outside of the Philadelphia area in Chester County mostly. Work with, I have ticketed events, I have private events, and I still continue doing quite a bit of chocolate tastings on Zoom with some corporate clients. So, yeah, so that is really what I do. So there is no wine on the internet, especially in the corporate, anyway. So what I do, they are like what I love about what I do. There are many things. What comes top of mind though is that I get to meet some of the most interesting people. I mean, I live in a small town, and for people who are listening, it's like that should never stop you from doing big things or dreaming big. I serve people literally all over the world, and it's really fascinating that despite my geography, like you can't hear it, but there is no car on the road. I live in a small neighborhood, and I become aware of other words. To give you an idea, a month ago, I hosted an event for the Construction Financial Management Association Philadelphia chapter. And I thought, what? Like that is a industry? And they were the happiest people, so many more women than I expected. Um, and they just like my clients make me aware of how big the world is and how many good people are out there. Because by the time a client finds me, they need to have a lot of things in order. Usually they have functional teams or like, whoever is in charge of the leadership of that team has made it to mentally to that place of I want to go above and beyond for my team, for my clients, and I'm going to organize an event for them. And that I always say is like, my clients are self-selected. And so they want to go the extra mile. And because of that, I get to meet this just amazing people, from it can be anywhere from a very large software company, the person in charge of like the name, the term escapes me, but it's to make the software accessible to people with disability. And they are on the phone with me, and they specifically called me on my website. It says you can always call me for something that's out of the box. And they said, we're really looking for a vendor who is going to really include people. I have like that person had two people who were deaf on their team. I think one person was blind, And they really wanted me to make an effort to include them because with the previous vendor, it wasn't taken into consideration. And when I hear from leaders like that, about how much they care about their team, it makes me want to work harder because, so that's an example. The Construction Financial Management Association, that really blew my mind because I had never seen a group of like, it was 42 people. They just, the way they connected with each other, they were couples. They all were so happy to be together. And usually people also bring me in because they want to create a certain, like facilitate social connection. And I thought, do you even need me? Because you are really hyped up to be together. And usually I, work with my clients. I come back like, oh my gosh, these were the most amazing people. And so that happens a lot. And so I feel like this is, it's this virtuous circle or cycle for me. But yeah, so
Oh, it's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
really surprised to hear that there were so many women in the construction management. That's usually very male dominated.
so what I was told, because I asked, so right now the organization, I mean, the people I work with, they were three women in charge. And what I was told is 40% women,
Hmm.
60% men, which
Wow.
is, yeah. And exactly, it's nice to have, you know, to see that, to witness that. I think that's very energizing, you know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. That's awesome. Love it. Love
Yeah.
to hear that. Love to hear that. So now when you're doing these types of events, you can do them at the location of the company or wherever they want to host it, or do you have specific places where you like to host them?
Ah, well, that's a good question. So online, it's always easy. It's right, just
Oh
I
yeah.
open my laptop, I ship the chocolate. But that's slightly different. What I'm going to give you two examples. The events I specialize in tend to be, you know, in the 15 to 25. 40 is a big number for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And usually I would bring a co-host, like
Hmm. Yeah.
so that I want everybody to feel like they receive the attention they want, right? So
Right.
I don't want, somebody to be like, okay, there was no time for me, right? If they want to interact,
Right.
everybody wants
Right.
different engagement. But that 15 to 25, it can be a tricky number because you don't want to go to a venue of 100 that can accommodate 100 and you have this tiny group. So when it's local-ish, can be so much fun because I've lived in my town for like almost 20 years. So I know a lot of people and one of the cool examples of venue I thought of, so it was for somebody, um, it was for let's just say a mutual fund company and they wanted to host an event, 15 top client. And it was local and the person my client was very um like he was not micromanaging, meaning like he was hands up, like he trusted us to do our work, like it's just like, okay, give us some options. And they wanted a wine and chocolate pairing event. And one of the venue they ended up picking, it was, I gave them three options and they picked that one. It actually was a vintage shop, like vintage art, furniture. I had known the owner for a few years. That was a second location. They have a regular store. The owner is an interior designer. And so she has a first storefront. She opened a second where everything is vintage.
Oh, so
And
cool.
oh yes, and she used to work in hospitality, so she knows how to make a table pretty, and she's an interior designer. So they they installed a couple of tables and beautiful tablecloth. Like they just nailed it. And so you see the clients, like that's an unusual venue. Like I like doing that, right? Like where people are like, first of all, I live close. I didn't know this was there. And
Yeah.
second, what a unique place, because there's something so special about, okay, we don't let customers in. This is yours now, right? And so
Yeah.
they could, it's like, it feels like a night at the museum, kind of like there's
Yeah.
that vibe. Hmm.
Yeah.
And then right now I'm working with another client, and again, it's top, like the attendee list is top at 25, and will likely, I mean, the client will likely book a room in a private club. Like, and it has to be that small is what makes it so, tricky. I'm looking for a sense of intimacy, and you feel special to be here. And it can be a vintage shop down the road, or, after that, it depends on budget, or like at the private club.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
are two examples.
That's very cool. Very
Yeah.
exciting. So
Yeah.
how did you
Ah,
transition into like what drew you to the chocolate business?
so at first it wasn't a business thing. So my origin story, and that's the name, it ties back to the name of my company, which is 37 Chocolates. Um, so I'm a chemist by training. Then I worked in a software company for 10 years. And when I left, I always joke, and I'm sure you can relate and other people relate. I always say that I left the job and I kept the friends. And one of my former colleague, at that time I left, ran 50K in honor of her 50th birthday, her and her best friend. And I saw the look on their faces when they FaceTime me when they finished, and they were accomplished and proud and happy and all that. And I thought to myself, I want to feel like that for my own birthday. So there was no way on earth I was going to move my body in that capacity. And my husband and I were like, okay, take six, he said, just take 6 months off and you'll figure out what you're doing next in 6 months, right? And so okay, fun fact is I started one of the very, very first food blogs in French language. Um, Food is a big part of my life. Like that's, so I love food, that's for sure. And chocolate, that's interesting. So there was a coffee shop in my town that started carrying the kind of chocolate bars that I use in my events, which is what we call bean to bar. And so it's really chocolate bars made from scratch, from cacao beans, oftentimes single origin. So it's kind of the same idea with coffee when you see single origin coffee at the shop, or like a single varietal or single estate for wine, right? And I could tell the price was much more than what you would pay at the grocery store. And also, um, there was a name of country on the front of the wrapper where the cacao was from, and there was no indication of what made that place special. And I figured if I ate the whole shelf, I'm sure I'll find out what the deal is about this. So, what I decided to do, so inspired by my friend, I decided to review 37 chocolate bars in honor of my 37th birthday, which falls on Halloween.
Oh,
So
perfect.
it's like, yeah, I was born for this. And so I posted all my reviews on YouTube. And what I saw when I was posting my YouTube reviews is I could tell a really big gap in, I was looking at what others may have done. There was really a gap in that type of review. You had a lot of candy review, like, oh, I went to, I got candy from Japan and I'm tasting it. Like there was like candy, but it wasn't, single origin, dark chocolate and all that. So right there, I thought, okay, there is really a gap here, and possibly an opportunity. And that was really the first, in my head, I'm like, okay, there is something there. I couldn't figure out what that was. And so I reviewed the 37 chocolate bars and then some. And I thought, chocolate has a way of pulling people in, and people who are pulled in never leave. That's
Mm.
just, I know people who are retired and consult to this day. And then how I made the leap from that to to like a business. So after the end of the challenge, I thought, okay, what's next? I could see the videos were appealing to people who were already into this chocolate world. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do. I want to get new people in. I want to get other
Mm,
people excited. And I thought, let's stop the video content right now. But what I want to do is, I had been blogging for a long time. I knew the power of having a blog, a website. I'm like, I want to go deeper. And so I just started like January 2016, 37chocolates.com. I didn't give two thoughts to, you know, this is going to be a business. And then through a a photographer friend of mine, I connected with a local journalist, and I always joke that it was a slow news day. A month after, I make it to the front page of the Chester County Press, which is
oh,
our
wow.
super hyper look, yeah, and blog read by thousands. Like, like
Wow.
this is this huge thing. This is the power of local. But anyway, the local librarian read the piece and recognized me and said, hey, do you want to do a tasting here? And what I had no idea is they were going to give me money. And I think I charged $75, like something which felt like so much money at the time that, like I can't believe they're like, I'm like, okay. So this was the difference between possible, like impossible and possible. And once I got a taste of that, I'm like, I have to keep going.
Yeah.
So that was really how it started. So it was a series of like, a series of action. And next thing you know, like, okay, if this is possible, I keep going. And
That's
so,
so cool.
yeah, so thank you.
That's,
That was 9 years ago when,
yeah,
I made the paper.
that's a
So,
great story too. I love it.
yeah, it's crazy because it's not like, I think we make a big, I mean, a lot of people know the New York Times and the Washington Post, but this was like sometimes some local coverage can do so much for you, um
Agree.
this was Chester County Press, and there was another woman in the newspaper. I think she won at like bingo, like that was
Mhm.
the news in the newspaper. like it was like, oh, and she was quoted saying, oh, I never win anything. Well, she won that day, and we made
Yeah.
it, both of us, to the Chester
Uh,
County Press. Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. So, if people want to learn more about you and your business, where would they go to find out that information?
Well, 37chocolates.com. And
Okay,
they can also connect with me on LinkedIn, just as Estelle Tracy. Send me a
perfect,
connection request. And
perfect.
mm.
That's awesome. So, how about over your career? What challenges have you faced as a professional woman or in this business?
In this business, I have to say I think being a woman in events, I think it serves me well, I would
Hmm.
say. And also what I have seen over the 10 years now that I started exploring chocolate, what has been really awesome to witness is 10 years ago, there were not that many women, and there were not that many, like the community felt smaller. And which means that it was a little harder to feel like you could find your people. And year after year, I would go to the Fine Chocolate Industry Association conferences, and every year there would be more people, more women, more of everybody. And I like witnessing the kind of like the tide shifting. And like I talked about the DC Chocolate Festival, I think earlier. So I've been going to DC Chocolate Festival since 2016. And I remember that at that time, I think almost every presenter was a man.
Mm,
And now I'm about to go. I have one talk on Friday, one tasting on Saturday. And there are a couple of men, but most of the speakers are women. And that's the shift I have seen in just 10 years.
wow.
And yeah, wow, I'm right there with you. And it's just it feels amazing. Um, and yeah, in chocolate, I have seen really women taking more and more space, being
Hmm.
more influential. And just as a whole, I feel, you know, like the power has been a little in my little world. I want to be very clear. Like I don't know, I'm going to talk only about what I do and what I see because we could this talking about cacao is a whole other that's a whole other podcast. But in what I do and what I see, living where I live and the people I talk to, um, it's been really exciting to see the pie getting bigger and the table getting bigger and a little bit more I feel the people are more welcoming and there's definitely a lot more of everybody now, which
Mhm.
is really cool.
Yeah, that's a fabulous viewpoint. Instead of like, oh, I have to share this with people, it's like, no, the table's bigger. There's more
It
people.
is.
I
Yeah.
love that perspective. It's a great perspective.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, how about if you get into a time machine and look at
Yeah.
your vision of retirement, what's that look like for
Mm.
you?
I'm gonna be like the chocolate people. Okay, let me put it. I'm gonna give a name. So one of my chocolate bestie and now good friends, I think is 80 years old, and
Huh.
he has been in chocolate for 51 years.
Wow.
And so he's technically retired, technically, I say,
Yeah.
because he does enjoy life, with his daughter and his grandkids. And at the same time, he's very involved. So his name is Bruce. So Bruce is really involved with the Retail Confectioners Association of Philadelphia.
Okay.
He got me in as a speaker, so he has this influence.
Oh, nice.
He got me. We met at a retirement community.
Oh,
He knew friends, and that's why I was giving a presentation, and one of his friend sent him. So Bruce does not live in a retirement community. His friend gave him to took a photo of my program and say, "Look at this woman talking about chocolate." And he told me later, I thought to myself, he lives in Jersey. He says, I thought to myself, I bet she has no idea what she's talking about. And he drove, like he crossed state line just to see what my deal was. And it's like, show me. And he liked the talk so much that he wanted me to give more with like he opened his own network for me. And like we just are like so like-minded. He came for like Sunday lunch at my house and we're gonna hang out again next week. Like and he would be back from Jamaica when he has a consulting gig in Jamaica. And I found out from LinkedIn he also had one in Grenada, I
oh,
think.
wow.
So
Okay.
like you have random farmers just knowing him, like
Yeah.
in the exotic places, like like tropical places is what I mean. But I'm like, yeah, that's kind of, I mean, I'm gonna be chocolating one way or another till the end of time because this is chocolate. And I have seen so many people working till either they were sick or like till they got involved till the end because you don't leave chocolate once you get to hold on to you. Like there's no living. I like leaving, like saying bye bye. I mean, not the other. But anyway, all of this to say, like, I want to be like Bruce. I'm gonna be like Bruce, like consulting on some project and kicking some chocolate, something or other. And I'm gonna be like, so I've been in chocolate already 10 years. And
Wow.
I mean one thing that is important to me, and I'm sure it's important to many people, is like sharing what you know with others. I see
Mm-hmm.
new people joining in, and I've hosted literally hundreds of events. I figured a few things out, and I want to continue passing this information along and like training the next generation of host of chocolate tastings, and so these are things I think about. So, but yeah, chocolate all the way.
Love it. Sounds good. I'm like, now I'm looking for chocolate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you make it to our side of the world, you'll see we're like a little I don't know, like a little religious order, We
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
carry I always joke, you can recognize us because we always have our little cooler bags, because, oh,
Yeah,
I
can't
brought you
melt.
this. right? Like in June, like we all have our little cooler bags and like our little ice packs, and you're like, see, I have stuff like here, have open things. This, I thought of you. Have this. I want you to have it. Do you have a cooler? Do you have some ice packs? Do you need something? So this is how we that's how we it's our secret, not secret, no, not so secret handshake. That's our
Yeah.
version of that. So
I
uh,
love it. So cool. And obviously, you love what you do. The passion that is coming through is spectacular. So, thank you
good.
so much for sharing it with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me on,
Oh,
Regina.
love it. Love it. Can't wait for this to air. And want to thank everyone else for joining us. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. And I think our action item today is to find something that you love and that you're passionate about that you can keep doing through your retirement because you love it so much you don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So again, my website's forgewealth.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and on LinkedIn, I'm Regina McCann Hess. Go make it a great day. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founders video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific, individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.